On the night of March 8th, 2014, the world witnessed the beginning of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern history. It started like any other routine flight. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, a Boeing 777 carrying 239 souls, 227 passengers and 12 crew members, taxied down the runway at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The destination? Beijing. The weather? Calm. The flight path? Familiar. For the passengers, it was just another overnight flight. Some were heading home to their families, some were traveling for work, and others were simply tourists eager to explore. Mothers, fathers, children, couples, all trusting that in just under 6 hours, they would safely arrive in China. But less than 1 hour after takeoff, everything changed. At 1:19 a.m., the final words from the cockpit were heard. "Good night, Malaysian 370. And then, silence. No distress call, no mayday signal, just nothing. At first, air traffic control thought it was a technical issue. Planes lose contact all the time, and usually within minutes, the signal returns. But this time, it didn't. Then came the shocking discovery. Military radar showed that MH370 hadn't crashed immediately. Instead, it made a mysterious turn, away from its path to Beijing, looping back across the Malaysian peninsula, flying toward the Andaman Sea. Hours later, satellites detected faint signals, the so-called handshakes, suggesting the plane continued west, out into the vast, empty Indian Ocean. For 7 more hours, MH370 kept flying, silent and unseen, until the final signal disappeared somewhere in one of the most remote parts of the planet. The world was stunned. How could a modern Boeing 777, one of the safest aircraft ever built, vanish without a trace in the 21st century? The response was massive. Over 20 nations joined the search. Dozens of ships, submarines, planes, and satellites combed the oceans. It became the most expensive search in aviation history. Over $150 million spent, scanning an area larger than the size of France. And yet, nothing. For weeks, families gathered in airports, staring at screens, waiting for updates. They clutched photographs, whispered prayers, and demanded answers. But as days turned into months, and months into years, hope began to fade. Only fragments, pieces of wing and fuselage, washed up years later on beaches in Réunion Island, Madagascar, and Mozambique. Experts confirmed they belonged to MH370, but the wreckage itself, the black boxes, and the passengers were never found. And so, the theories began. Some experts pointed to a catastrophic mechanical failure, perhaps a sudden loss of cabin pressure that left everyone unconscious. In this ghost flight scenario, the plane would have flown on autopilot until it ran out of fuel, plunging into the ocean. But others suspected something far darker. Some believed Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a seasoned pilot, may have deliberately diverted the flight, a carefully planned murder-suicide. They pointed to a simulated flight path found on his home computer that eerily resembled MH370's final route, but no concrete evidence has ever proved it. There were whispers of terrorism, though no group ever claimed responsibility. Some speculated a hijacking, or even that the plane was shot down accidentally by a military force. One of the most controversial theories placed blame on the U.S. base at Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, suggesting MH370 was intercepted and destroyed to prevent it from reaching some unknown target. And then came the more bizarre ideas. A Bermuda Triangle in the Indian Ocean, aliens, even suggestions that the plane slipped into another dimension. Strange as these sound, they reveal something human. When faced with complete silence, people will search for any explanation. But behind all the speculation, there was a deeper tragedy, the human cost. 239 people vanished that night. For their families, the pain was unbearable. No bodies, no graves, no closure, just an endless wait. Every press conference, every government statement, every discovery of debris sparked a flicker of hope, only to be crushed again. One father, whose son was on the plane, said, "It feels like I'm frozen in time." Everyone else moves on, but for us, every day is still March 8th. Some families sued the airline. Others fell into silence. But all were left with questions that no one could answer. Still, MH370 changed aviation forever. Airlines around the world introduced new safety measures. Today, international rules require planes to send position updates more frequently. New satellite technology ensures that no plane can vanish so completely again. And yet, the haunting question lingers: how, in an age of global connectivity, where satellites watch every corner of the Earth, could a Boeing 777 simply disappear? As we look back a decade later, the mystery of MH370 remains unsolved. That night, 239 people boarded a flight, expecting to reach Beijing. Instead, they stepped into history's most chilling aviation mystery. The Indian Ocean still guards its secret. Somewhere beneath thousands of meters of water, the truth waits, untouched, unseen. And maybe, one day, advances in technology will finally uncover what really happened. Maybe the black boxes will speak, the wreckage will be found, and families will get the closure they deserve. But until then, MH370 is not just a missing plane. It is a ghost story of the modern age, haunting our skies, our seas, and our imagination.